Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user LowProfessional8244. Am I the a-hole for locking out a neighbor's kid from playing with my daughter? My daughter has been friends with the daughter of a co-worker of mine since pre-nursery. They were in the same playgroup and nursery and are now in the same primary school. This girl has developmental issues and can't interact with others her age. She clings to my daughter and won't let her play with other children. She has bitten and thrown things at my daughter in the past when she doesn't get her full attention. The school is trying to set up a plan for her, but in the meantime she has to attend regular school with no assistant to give her the help she needs as the previous assistant left. My co-worker lives on the same street as mine and is in a senior role, which is why I have gently tried to make excuses for her daughter not coming to our place. I have outright lied on a few occasions saying my daughter is ill, and I found out yesterday that she has kept a log of all the times I have refused to have her daughter over at my place. She came by knocking on my letterbox to drop her off for a few hours as she has heard from her daughter that my daughter was having a get-together with her friends. I tried to deny that nicely, telling her my daughter was feeling poorly, but she actually pulled a log saying she knew which girls had entered my home and to let her daughter in. I was mad at her, so I locked her out and told her they wouldn't be playing anymore. She was talking through the letterbox demanding to know why I wouldn't let her daughter play with her best friend. I told her I understood her desperation, but that due to past incidents, I thought it was no longer safe for them to share the same space. I said I would let the school know that I was not okay with them always pairing them up on projects, as my daughter has always been the nice girl who has done what the teachers have told her and made their lives easier by doing their work for them. I understand she was angry and perhaps exhausted. Career exhaustion is a real thing, but I felt at that moment that watching her a few times a week for years and making my underage daughter her caretaker was highly unfair. My co-worker has 2 adult children who live close by, and she has children who are older than this girl from her second husband with whom she lives with. So I asked her why couldn't she arrange between them or find her a support group. And to this, she made a masked threat that she is good friends with my senior manager. I told her to get out of my front garden and that my daughter wasn't her maid. I do regret it a little, as this girl has no other friends. On the days my daughter is not in school due to actual illness, she has no one to play with, and often after an illness or other absence, her teachers have told her they are glad she is back to play with this girl. It's a weird situation to be in. OP, in short, no, I do not think you're the a-hole. I think you're being a concerned parent that is looking out for your daughter. I understand that it must be hard for this little girl to not have any friends, but it is not your daughter's responsibility to tend to her emotional needs. Personally, I would have put a stop to this whole thing the moment this little girl would have bitten my daughter or throw things at her. If she's got issues that need to be worked on, your daughter is not the person who's gonna do that for her. She needs help. She had an assistant that quit, and what's the school doing about that? What her mom is doing is using your daughter as a buffer. Maybe her mom doesn't want to deal with her daughter, which of course is a sad thing, but it is her responsibility. If I was in your shoes, OP, I would do 3 things. 1, I'm not letting this child playing with my daughter again. 2, I'm gonna go talk to the school and see what's going on there. And 3, go to HR and talk to your manager. She threatened your job because you didn't want her daughter playing with yours. That's not right. And what is your judgment? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Thestral Breeder says, you should put it in writing to her explicitly exactly what happened, including that she wrote a log of comings and goings and how often your daughter wasn't able to spend time with hers, etc., leaving nothing out. Send that to her and tell her it is highly inappropriate and is making you extremely uncomfortable. I would send that exchange to HR. Chicken Hotex says, not the a-hole. The kindest way you can say it is that myself and my daughter are not equipped to be responsible for caring for your daughter. Also, in attempting to do so, my daughter has had negative outcomes herself personally. She should not be responsible for your child. She herself is only a child. I am sympathetic that the school system has not adequately provided the resources your family needs, and I understand that it is both hurtful and frustrating to you. However, I ask you to understand that we are not capable of bridging that gap for you, and it is not incumbent upon my daughter to absorb the treatment she gets from your daughter when she tried. I do hope that we can remain professional in the workplace and not allow this to affect us there. The issues have been well documented by the school, and it would be fairly easy to demonstrate retaliation in the workplace should it occur. And Smoochno says, I was your daughter that was forced to partner up and play with that kid for a year before I finally broke down to my mom about how miserable I was. The teachers didn't tell my mom I was being used as an emotional support toy for that kid and pushed back while my mom put an end to it. It was hell for me. Please do advocate for your daughter with her school. You're doing the right thing. The mother being in a senior role at your work, I would contact HR if I were you too. Not the a-hole. The teachers are harming your kid by allowing this and frankly taking a lazy option over getting support in place to help the other child, and the other mother is stalking your kid. That's not okay. Additional information from OP's comments. I think I have let it go on for too long. The two main teachers they have for her class praise my daughter and keep putting her in a position of carer. I intend to talk to someone higher up, as I think it's about time she gets her own life and they find someone with the right skills to look after that girl. My daughter cried last night in my arms and told me how stressful it was for her to hang out with only this girl. She says she's had a lot of headaches and described them as what I know to be tension headaches. No child her age should have tension headaches. She told me that on most days, she doesn't look forward to going to school, and now I understand why her performance has dipped lately. She also told me which teacher always pairs her up with this girl. I think I need to have a follow-up conversation with my daughter and apologize again for not noticing her discomfort earlier. I have to put a stop to this. I still feel bad for my coworker's child, but I need to prioritize my own. I am blessed to have a well-behaved girl who cares about others, but she thought wrongly it was her responsibility to look after this girl and felt guilty for having other friends. I arranged a time to speak to the principal later on in the afternoon. We'll see what happens on their end in a few hours. The community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that she needs to go to HR and go talk to the school to get this thing settled. Now, in my original commentary, I left out the stalking part with this log of comings and goings, but yeah, that's creepy as F. HR needs to be involved in this. Now, OP told us that she set up a meeting with the principal, so let's move on with the first of two updates to see what happened next. I had a meeting today with the school's principal because I had to stay behind for my sick child. I phoned the principal directly in the morning to talk to him about an urgent matter. The principal asked me to come in for an informal chat after school. I haven't had a lot to do with him in the past, but he seemed civil when we first enrolled our daughter and he came to greet the class. He had invited her class teachers too. After hearing my side and what had happened, he listened to the teachers. The teachers said they understood that my daughter was overwhelmed but thought it would be bullying if she refused to work with the other girl. They said they preferred my daughter to do her best to include her in activities at school and then get free time from her when she went home. In other words, they wanted to blame me for allowing the other girl into our home while wanting to continue to use my daughter as her assistant. They had an assistant for her, but she left the job, which affected my daughter more. The teachers tried to praise my daughter for her effort to include and guide this other girl. They also praised her for helping her learn to read. I know that girl has made progress with reading and maths because her mother mentioned it too. Yet the teachers, the people who are qualified and paid to teach her, are avoiding this girl. It got on my nerves, and I told them in no uncertain terms that my daughter was not to be expected to do their jobs for them. Luckily, the principal intervened and agreed with me that they needed another plan for this girl. He did mention that they would look for other avenues, but their budget is bursting. I know this because this school has suffered a bit in the past few years. The teaching assistant was paid less than what a qualified special education needs would have been, but she left. Before leaving, I told them that my solicitor would send them a letter on what had been discussed and, in the future, to not pair my daughter up with this girl. I much rather they move this girl out of the class than my daughter, as she has made a few friends in this class. This girl has been violent on more than one occasion, and even though we are living in the Greater London area, my solicitor said that we can move on that issue as she is being put in danger. I had contacted a solicitor before I went to the school. The solicitor advised me to write a letter to the school in terms of my child being bullied into being a carer. My daughter has made it clear she doesn't want to be friends with her anymore. I am not going to push her to stay friends, but I still feel guilty for letting it go for this long. Had my child been a less kind person, she would have told me earlier. Although it's not her fault because I should have noticed this earlier. I also told them that I was taking this issue to HR as it was a combined issue both in the public and private spheres. I then texted the girl's mother and she texted me back. She stupidly confirmed the log and other things, including wanting to encourage my daughter to hang out with her daughter. It should be smooth sailing with HR. A letter was drafted for HR too, and I had a conversation over text with her mother for evidence. I'll be giving it to HR on Monday morning. I also sent my senior manager a heads up about what was happening in case she tried to shield her friend. I mentioned the solicitor and how the case was going to progress with the school admin. She seemed to come across as supportive. I have told my daughter to let the teacher know loud and clear that she won't work with this other girl if they pair her up, and to report back to me every time they try to do so. We'll see what happens now and whether the school keeps its end of the bargain. Okay, so OP has taken some pretty strong cards on the matter, which is a good thing, so let's not waste any time and move on straight to the final update to see how this story ends. Yesterday, I had a meeting with HR and the mother of the child was called in. We both had the option to have someone else sit in on the meeting for support or a rep, but we both declined. My manager, on the other hand, was made to sit in. I don't think she was very happy about it due to her workload. HR tried to make it comfortable for all, but getting a solicitor was the best thing I could have done. HR made notes and put it on the official record that despite this taking place outside of work, they could and would deal with my coworker at work if she tried to leverage her friendship over my job security. My manager said she isn't very friendly with her outside work, but that she would like to keep a good professional relationship with her going forward if she remains. Now, my coworker backtracked on the masked threat and tried to emotionally manipulate the room by bringing up her daughter's struggles. HR stated that that part of it had nothing to do with me or the company, and that they expected her to stay professional at work. They advised her to put pressure on the school to provide her daughter with the right tools to make it through. They offered her 1 week of unpaid leave to spend time with her daughter if she needed it, and encouraged her to use that week to take her daughter to various clubs for children with special needs so she could form bonds with children similar to her. HR did not give me an apology, but they made my coworker give me a written and verbal one. My manager said she was happy with my work and would continue to support me in her capacity as a manager. Also, I received a phone call from the school this morning. There was a small incident between this girl and my daughter, but they dealt with it and didn't want me to pick up my daughter so the other girl could see changes happening. For now, that girl won't be in class for the rest of the day, and at break time, the dinner ladies are making sure they are not playing together. My heart hurts for this girl because she is basically alone now, but I have to think of my daughter first. The school has scheduled my husband and I and her parents for a meeting together with the principal, my solicitor, their teachers, and a school rep. We will see how quickly things change as they are technically still in the same class. Thank you to all who shared your own similar experiences and helped me navigate this. I am hopeful that things will be better going forward. Well, OP, I think this is a positive update. For one, your daughter is not being forced to be a carer anymore because it was never her responsibility and actions have been taken. Your job is safe, your coworker backpedaled her threat and she saw she couldn't get away with it, and she does need to do something about her child and pressure the school to get on top of this. So hopefully that girl does get the help that she needs, and for you, OP, here's wishing you and your daughter the best in the future. Thank you for sharing and take care. And now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user FeistyB7779. Sure, we can follow the contract. I work as an account manager for a food distribution company. Because I have an NDA, I can't disclose the type of materials or project, so I will be relatively vague, but the story is still good. Okay, so we work with a chain account and service all of their locations in our state. This is a relatively small but global chain that has historically been very challenging to work with. Management is aggressive and pushy, but not nice. Our company is a tiny, family-owned and operated company full of nice goofballs. We don't take things too seriously, provide great service, and put up with honestly way too much from them. We're their contracted distributor. The contract has a few items that no one has followed for years. One of those is monthly pricing audits. No one from their corporate had ever asked for them, but we never brought it up because our pricing is not always consistent with the contracted price we are supposed to charge the locations. We're often able to get a product for cheaper elsewhere and also sell to our other accounts outside of this chain, so we're not always compliant, but it's always for the benefit of the customer. Well, our direct contact at the company quit, and the head honcho over there stepped in to take her place. He insisted that we begin sending monthly pricing audits per the contract. Mind you, this guy is just nasty. I've had to drive around to every location in the state to recover a product the locations use less than one case a year because they wanted to teach us a lesson for running out of something one time. They assign us complaint forms that I have to go into their site and resolve the complaint. It's usually about something stupid. For example, you said that you were going to receive a product on this day, but you didn't tell us if you got it yet. Please write out your 5-step action plan and solution to being better partners to us. Ugh. So anyways, we dragged out the audits for a while, but we are unable to avoid it. So we brought up another item in the contract that had been neglected in attempts to be like, if you were going to enforce this, we're going to enforce the whole contract. It stated that if we were carrying an item for this account that moved less than X number of cases a week, we would be able to charge a storage fee per month that it sat in our warehouse. They said yes, we need to be following the contract 100%. Well, we found out that almost 90% of the products did not move X number of cases a week and were eligible for a storage fee to be added on. The language stated that we were to also back charge for the months that it sat in the warehouse and that we did not charge storage, which meant that there were items that had a price increase of around $30 per case. That's ridiculous, especially for a restaurant in our state. We alerted the company and said, hey, while this would be more money for us, we really don't want to do that to our customers. They said it didn't matter and we had to follow the contract. If any stores complained, I was to send them directly to their corporate representative. So, the updated contract pricing went into effect, effectively bumping up pricing on their most popular items by about 10% and the storage pricing by about 30% on their lowest moving items, increasing overall pricing by about 25%. Stores are livid. It totally sucks for them and I feel super bad about it, but it's a result of their corporate being a-holes. The best part is now I get these complaint things about pricing all day long and I just get to tag their corporate representatives to deal with it instead. I have less work and we make about 25% more of an account. They wanted us to follow the contract, right? Well, if it isn't the old combo of sticklers and shooting themselves in the foot. But you are right, OP. They wanted you guys to follow the contract. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.